Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 26th class of this intermediate English course. Please confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, teacher. Good evening.
Good evening, Angela.
Yes, teacher, good evening.
Hi, Joangel. Um, I don't know where are
Today is
your
the
parent your partners, huh?
today is the privacy class.
The what? The what?
Today the class is privacy say or how can you say privada?
Private class.
Exactly.
Yeah, it looks like Saoni joined the group already. Okay. Yeah, it has happened to me before. It wouldn't be the first time. But some of your partners have written to me and they have told me that they can't be here tonight for some reasons. That's understandable because this class is being recorded and it will be available tomorrow. But we have to continue. And tonight's class is a lot of explanations, but it's going to be easy explanations because it's an easy topic. A couple of rules here and there, but nothing too difficult, nothing too complicated. Okay, so with that being said, let me show you. We're almost at the end of the list, as I said in our last class. We're almost at the end of the verb review practices. Okay, so for this week, we have the second part of the regular verbs list. So last week we worked with the id sound, right? The first part here. And for this week, we will work with the T sound group. Okay, so we are dividing the regular verbs by ending sound, by their ending sound. So here we have the verbs ask, cook, dance, dress, erase, finish, help, jump, like, look, miss, practice, push, shop, smoke, stop, talk, use, walk, wash, wish, work. So as you can see, the pronunciation is always with a T when you add ed to any of these verbs. For example, ask, asked, cook, cooked, dance, danced, dress, dressed, erase, erased, finish, finished, help, helped, jump, jumped, like, liked, look, looked, miss, missed, practice, practiced, push, pushed, shop, shopped, smoke, smoked, stop, stopped, talk, talked, use, used, walk, walked, wash, washed, wish, wished, work, worked. You see? So the thing here is to practice and to practice a lot. In order to get this sound right, we need to do a lot of practicing. Okay? So, with that being said, let's start with tonight's class. We only have 2 more units left before we end the intermediate course. I promise you that for the advanced course, we are going to add many things to make this even more interesting, but also harder. Okay, I think that you deserve that for your improvement. You need that for your improvement. Okay, so it's the coldest city. It's the coldest city. So here we have our first word power, places around the world. So match the words from the list to the letters in the picture, then compare with a partner. So let's see who can tell me the first 4 right here. What is the letter for beach? Tell me, Joangel.
I have the one confused about this because I think it's J or E.
You mean I?
I, sorry. I or J.
Is I. This is the beach.
Okay, but I. Okay, explain this. Yo me quedé con la duda porque como estaba arriba de la arena, exactamente, me quedé con esa pequeñita duda.
Okay. Yeah, normally when we talk about the beach in English is related to the sand. Okay? So when you can see the sand, that is a beach.
Okay.
Okay? When you go deeper, then in English we have different terms, the same thing as in Spanish. Okay? So, number 2, Joangel, desert. Which one is the desert? What letter is the desert?
E,
Letter E, that's right. Number 3, the forest. Which one is the forest?
F,
F. Well done. And number 4, the hill.
U, and uh, Su. I don't know. Solo esa no la llené.
Okay, it would be letter D, hill, colina, hill.
Okay.
Okay,
Hill.
letter D. Okay, let's continue. Thank you, Joankel Saoni. From number 5 to number 8. 5, island.
Entonces. Oh, pero yo puse la I, Island. L, esa es la L.
That's an L, L, yes.
Okay,
L, okay.
Y lake, H.
H, okay, H.
H.
And mountain?
Okay. Teacher, pero mountain es D.
No, we have mountain and hill.
Entonces.
Letter
entonces.
Yeah, letter A.
Okay.
Tenemos colinas y montañas, ¿verdad? Colinas y montañas. Entonces, colinas, letter D. Mountain, letter A.
Sí, pero esa montaña negra ahí.
And the ocean, Saoni, which one is the ocean?
J.
J. Okay. So normally we divide this, for example, or we distinguish between the beach and the ocean because the beach is always with sand, right? But the ocean is when you go deep inside. Okay, deep inside the sea, you will see the ocean, which is deeper. Okay, so let's continue with number 9. Let me give this last 4 to Angela. Angela, which one is a river?
River is the letter C, Ballet is the letter B, and Volcano is the letter A.
Could you please repeat it, Angela? So the river is letter B.
River is letter C.
Letter C. Letter C.
River.
Okay. Okay. Letter C. Valley.
B.
B. Okay.
Volcano is letter K. And the last one is G.
Yeah, the waterfall. Okay. So the idea with this is to know these terms. Okay, we need to know these terms. These are pretty basic terms that we use in everyday English. Okay, nothing here is from another planet. Nothing here is rocket science. It's simple stuff. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so let's start with the first reading. I love quizzes. So, who is going to begin? Who are going to begin with the reading? Okay, Joangel Gomez. And okay, Angela. So, Joangel, you are going to read Steve's part, and Angela is going to read Claire's part. Let's begin.
This is one of the best art-line magazines I've ever had. Oh, look, a kid. Or what? How much do you know?
Oh, I love kisses. Ask me the question. Quizzes.
Yeah, quizzes.
Sure. Quick question. Which country is larger, Mexico or Australia?
I know. Australia is the larger than Mexico.
Okay, next. What's the longest river in the world?
That easy is the Nile.
The Nile.
Alright. Here is a hard one. Which country is the most crowded? Malta, Malta or England?
I'm not sure. I think Malta is more crowded.
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 Really? Okay. One more. Which city is the most expensive? Hong Kong, London, or Paris?
Oh, that easy. Paris is the most expensive.
Muy bien. Paris is the most expensive. Okay, so this word here is longest. Longest. Okay, longest. Okay, Saoni, who else is going to read? Okay, Nidia, Saoni, and Nidia. Saoni, Claire's part, and Nidia, Steve's part.
Okay. This is one of the best Arling magazine I've ever read. Oh, look, a kiss, or war. How much do you know?
Nidia, your microphone is off.
Oh,
You are mute again. Se bloqueó de nuevo.
okay.
Ahora sí.
I love quiz.
Are you there, Nidia? We only heard the first part. I love quizzes.
Okay. Has
Ask me the questions.
Nidia, no te escuchas.
Nidia al parecer está teniendo dificultades con la red.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
Si lo podría repetir la oración, Nidia, please.
Es que ella se le cierra el micrófono.
Oh, ¿me escuchan?
¿Me
Yes,
escuchan?
now.
¿Me escuchan ahora?
¿Me escuchan
Yes.
ahora? Sí.
Okay.
Okay.
¿Me escuchan?
¿Me escuchan? Yes, okay.
Oh,
Oh,
I
I love quiz.
Has my the
Has
question.
my the question?
Sure.
First
First
question.
Which country
Which country is larger?
Mexico,
Mexico
or
or Australia?
I count.
I count. Australia is
large.
large.
The Mexico.
The Mexico.
Okay,
Okay, next.
What's the
Longest
river
river
in the world?
in the world?
Dams.
Dams. Easy.
Is a meal.
Is a meal.
All right.
All right.
Here's
Here's
hard one.
hard one.
Which country
Which
is
country
more
is
clothed?
more clothed,
Malta or
Malta
England?
or England?
I am not
I am
sure.
not sure.
I think
I think
Malta is
Malta
more
is more
clothed.
crowded.
Crowded.
Read,
Raul.
Raul.
really?
Really?
Okay.
Okay.
One more.
One more.
Which city
Which
is the
city
most
is the most
expensive?
expensive?
Hong Kong,
Hong
London,
Kong,
or
London, or
Paris?
Paris?
Oh,
Oh,
then easy.
then easy.
Paris is
Paris is
the most
the most
expensive.
expensive.
Okay, Paris is the most expensive. Okay. Somebody else is going to read. Anyone else? Okay. No one else is going to read. So, a couple of words here, guys, that you have to pay attention to and practice, okay? We need to improve that pronunciation. This is one of the best airlines magazines I've ever read. Here, we have to say read because this structure is in present perfect. So this verb is in past participle. Remember that in the case of the verb to read, we have the same structure for base form, past simple, and past participle. But the pronunciation changes in the past simple and stays the same for the past participle. So I've ever read. Oh, look, a quiz. Our world. How much do you know? Oh, I love quizzes. Quizzes. I love quizzes. Ask me the questions. Sure. First question. Which country is larger? Mexico or Australia? Us. Australia. I know. I know. Australia is larger than Mexico. Okay, next. What's the longest? Longest. You see the difference? Larger, longest. What's the longest river? River. Someone said river. Remember, river. What's the longest river in the world? That's easy. It's the Nile. Nile. All right, here's a hard one. Which country is more crowded? Crowded. Malta or England? I'm not sure. I think Malta is more crowded. Really? Okay, one more. Which city is the most expensive? Hong Kong, London, or Paris? Oh, that's easy. Paris is the most expensive. Okay? So, tonight we're going to talk about comparisons with adjectives. Okay? So, let's dive in. Okay. Okay. Yo, this is introduction. Okay, here it is. Okay. So we have here the spectrum of comparison matrix. Okay, we can compare and we can use superlatives. Okay? So, when I have a number of targets, two things in this case, I can compare. Okay? When I have more, three or more, I have to use the superlative. We have conceptual function, relative difference in the case of comparative adjective, and maximum extreme in the case of the superlative. When we are comparing in English, we always use the ending er or more. Okay? Remember that in a previous class, we talked about this. We discussed this, that we use er for the small adjective like fast, faster, slow, slower, and we use more for longer adjectives like beautiful, more beautiful, expensive, more expensive. Those are comparative adjectives. And then we have the superlative, the most. In this case, we use the most for the same longer adjectives like the most beautiful, the most expensive, and for the short form of the adjective, we use est. Instead of faster, we say the fastest. Okay? When we are comparing, we normally use than as a connector. And for the superlative, we can use in or of. Okay, so let me put this into simple Spanish, right? Okay, we have comparative, comparativos, ¿verdad? Él es más alto que ella es más grande que él. We're comparing, estamos comparando. Pero también tenemos algo en español que lo tenemos en inglés, que es el superlativo, que es el extremo de algo. ¿Ok? Los superlativos son el mejor, el peor, ¿ok? El más caro. Los superlativos están en el extremo del eje comparativo. Cuando yo digo que alguien es el mejor, yo lo estoy comparando con un grupo de personas y lo estoy colocando en la cima de ese grupo de personas. Por eso es que cuando se escucha en español el más mejor es incorrecto, porque ya mejor está en la cima, no hay más después de ahí. Y luego tenemos el peor, por eso cuando se dice el más peor, estamos también cometiendo un error. ¿Ok? Porque no hay un más peor, simplemente está el peor. Podríamos decir mucho peor, pero es una forma de comparación ya dentro del superlativo. Okay, entonces, cuando yo digo superlative, me estoy refiriendo a eso, okay, a esas estructuras de lo más. ¿Se entiende eso ahí? Sí. ¿Se entiende eso ahí? Okay. Okay, so let me switch again to English. Okay, with that being said. Con eso dicho, ya podemos trabajar con esto. For example, here I have Brazil is larger than Argentina. Brazil is larger than Argentina, ¿verdad? Here I am comparing. I am using the ER, right, for comparison, and using the connector than, which is the one that I use when I'm comparing. Here I have my superlative box, okay? Russia is the largest country in the world. Here I am saying that Russia is the biggest country in the world. Rusia es el país más grande en el mundo, the largest. Okay? So when I use the superlative, I always use the before the superlative because I am talking about something specific. Siempre que estoy hablando del superlativo, ¿verdad? Utilizo el adjetivo definido, el artículo definido de antes del superlativo porque estoy hablando de algo en específico. Rusia es el país más grande en el mundo. The largest. Siempre que utilizo un superlativo voy a utilizar de antes del superlativo porque estoy hablando de algo en específico. Cosa que no hago con los comparativos. Okay, let's continue. So the syllable weight system, here we have the comparative structure, right? Fast, faster. Okay, we add ER at the end of a small adjective and we turn it into a comparative adjective, right? Short words, one syllable, easily carry the extra weight of a suffix. The suffix is this thing right here. Subject plus be plus adjective ER or the adjective est, okay? In the case of the superlative, because this is the comparative. When we have a longer word like beautiful, we use more beautiful. We don't add the ER because it is already too long, okay? That's why in English, we don't have beautifuler, okay? That word doesn't exist. We say more beautiful, okay? This is the comparative form. So both forms, faster and more beautiful, are comparative forms. Okay? Calibrating the scale, here we have comparative form, and here we have the superlative form. So our baseline is today is cold, Tokyo is crowded. Okay, that's our starting point. Okay, so now let's compare. Tokyo is colder than yesterday, or Tokyo is more crowded than Madrid. You see, I am comparing. But then I don't want to compare. I want to talk about the maximum extreme. Today is the coldest day of the week, or Tokyo is the most crowded city. As you can see, the word cold, right? The adjective here has er and is comparing, and here we have est, the superlative. The same adjective with a different ending means different things. Again, here I am using more. I have crowded here, which is the adjective. I added more to crowded, I'm comparing, or I add the most to crowded, and it is a superlative structure. Got it? Hasta ahí vamos bien. Estoy repitiendo lo mismo, ¿verdad? Pero con más ejemplos. Okay, thank you, Angela. Okay, so this is our essential infrastructure, the connector, okay? When we are comparing, we need then, which means que in Spanish, okay? Australia is larger than Mexico. English is easier than math. The car is more comfortable than that one. We always use than when we are comparing, okay? And that makes things easier for us in Spanish because we also use que to compare. Australia es más grande que México. Inglés es más fácil que las matemáticas. El carro es más cómodo que ese. Then. Okay. Okay. So, here we have the rules, guys. Okay. So, remember, the majority of the adjectives end in a e vowel, in a vowel, right? Like in the case of large, it ends in a vowel. Nice ends in a vowel. So when an adjective ends in e, I don't have to add another e. I just add the r, right? Large, larger, nice, nicer. In the case of the est, it is the same thing because large already has an e. I just have to add the st, the largest, the nicest. Okay. When I have y, I have to switch it or to shift it to y. When I have the y, I have to shift it to I and add er or est. Dry, drier. As you can see, I drop the y and add I, er, or the driest. The same thing here. Happy ends in y. I can't work with this. I have to drop the y and add I, happier, or the happiest. Okay? Double final consonant. When I have a consonant vowel consonant structure, I have to duplicate the last consonant. Big, bigger. Hard, harder. That's why we have two T's and why we have two G's. The same thing happens with est for the superlative. The biggest, the hottest. And for the majority of the other adjectives, we just have to add er or est. Long, longer, long, the longest. Tall, taller, tall, the tallest. Fast, faster, fast, the fastest. Okay? This is a simple rule that we have to know, especially when we are writing. Okay? Especially when we are writing. Okay. Here we have the exceptions. We have here the irregular variables. Remember that I told you in a previous class that we have irregular adjectives. Those adjectives don't follow any rule, okay? They are not bound by our previous explanation. Tell me, Angela.
Yo me preguntaba tipo si te podía mandar la captura del intérprete anterior, de la
Of
estructura
course.
de las palabras,
Yes.
por
Sure
favor.
thing.
Gracias.
Yeah, I will send it to you. Okay, to the WhatsApp group. Okay, so here we have the irregular. Remember this irregular? Good, bad, far. Well, these adjectives, they don't follow, they are not bound by the same rules. So the comparative form of good is better, right? And the superlative is the best. The comparative form of bad is worse, and the superlative form is the worst. Okay? The comparative form of far is farther or further, whichever you like. And the superlative form is the farthest or the furthest. Okay? So these are the irregular adjectives. Don't forget them, okay? Don't forget them. Okay, that's the first grammar focus. Is that clear? Do you have any questions about that? Any doubts, guys?
Está claro lo que hay que aprendérselo.
Exactly, need more
You need more
practice.
practice? Okay, okay. That's true, okay? That's true. You need to practice a lot. Okay, so we will talk about the homework in a minute. Let's continue with our next grammar focus. So this grammar focus is even easier than the previous one. Okay, this is even easier because this is only questions with how to know about temperature, distance, how big something is, etc. So let's see. Okay, let me see here. Okay, shifting the absolute measurement. Okay, so here we have, is Seoul larger than Tokyo? This is a question, right? Relative only tells us relationship. So when we use the comparative, right, the comparative structure, we're only talking about the relationship that Seoul has with Tokyo. In this case, which is larger. But when we use how big is Seoul, we're asking about something specific, a numerical data. How big is Seoul? Okay? So we normally use how plus adjective to request precise, absolute data regarding size, distance, temperature, age, length, height, and depth. Okay? Again, we use how plus adjective to request precise, absolute data regarding size, distance, temperature, age, length, height, and depth. For example, how big is Seoul? ¿Qué tan grande es Seúl? Seúl, perdón. How hot is Dubai? ¿Qué tan caliente es Dubai? How far is the airport? ¿Qué tan lejos está el aeropuerto? How deep is the ocean? ¿Qué tan profundo es el océano? Entonces, lo que estamos viendo aquí es el uso de how con adjetivos para preguntar por algo específico. A diferencia de las estructuras comparativas que nos hablan de la relación de un país con otro y nos dicen, oye, Seoul es más grande que Dubái, por ejemplo. No estoy diciendo un hecho fáctico, ¿ok? Simplemente estoy poniendo el ejemplo. Seoul es más grande que Dubái. La relación es en torno a Dubái, pero no me dice nada del país como tal. Ahora, cuando yo pregunto, how big is Seoul? Yo estoy preguntando, ¿qué tan grande es Seoul? ¿Verdad? ¿Qué tan grande es? Y tú me das un dato específico matemático. Son 30,000 kilómetros cuadrados. Ok, ya yo tengo un dato específico. Lo mismo cuando pregunto, how hot is Dubai? ¿Qué tan caliente es Dubai? No es en relación con República Dominicana, sino el dato fáctico, objetivo, medible de Dubái. Ah, mira, la temperatura en Dubái es de 39 grados Celsius. Y tú dices, ok, yo sé en cuánto está la temperatura. ¿Sí me entienden? Entonces, cuando preguntamos con how hot, how far, how deep, o con cualquiera de las estructuras de how con un adjetivo, es para saber el dato exacto de ese lugar, sin comparar con otro. Dígame, yo, Ángel.
Nothing different when you explicated in Spanish. You acquired my
Your
confuse.
confusion, okay, okay. Okay, let's continue. So here, this is important. I don't know if you notice here, if you noticed here, that we use the adjective first. How big? How hot? Okay? Remember when I explained something like this using what? So when we are asking a specific question, we have to place the adjective first. How big? Okay? As you can see here, we cannot say how is big because it is incorrect. We don't use this structure to ask about this because it could be misleading. We're talking and we only want to know about the size. How big is Seoul? How hot? So we have the WH question followed by an adjective. How big? How hot? How far? Okay? For example, look at this image. Here we have the Mount Everest, right? I want to know how high is the Mount Everest? Oh, the Mount Everest is 8,848 meters. How long is this? Oh, it is 3,700 kilometers. How deep? Deep es profundo. It is 4 meters deep. How far? ¿Verdad? It is 5 kilometers away or 2 hours by car. Or how big? How big is 200 square meters? Entonces aquí tenemos las preguntas. ¿Qué tan alto? ¿Qué tan largo? ¿Qué tan profundo? ¿Qué tan grande? ¿Qué tan lejos? Así es que se pregunta en inglés. How y el adjetivo en cuestión. Okay? When we have how long, it's about duration, it's 2 hours long. When we ask how old, we're asking about age, right? How old are you? How old? How hot? ¿Qué tan caliente? How cold? ¿Qué tan frío? Okay. So we have it's 100 meters high if we're talking about height. It's 3 kilometers if we're talking about distance. And it's 10 meters deep if we're talking about depth. Okay. Okay. Common mistakes, guys. Common mistakes. For example, more taller, right? We don't need to use more because we have ER here, taller. It is redundant. Beautifuler. As I said before, this does not exist. More beautiful is the correct form. Everest is more high. Mistake again. Higher. Everest is higher than Kilimanjaro. This is the more crowded city. Again, a mistake. Most. Maximum extreme. Okay? How long is it? In this case, it's too ambiguous. We need to be specific. How long is the movie? How long is the river? Because if you ask how long is it without any context, because if we have context in my work, but if we use how long is it without any context, people don't know what I'm asking. But if I say, or if I ask, how long is the movie? People know what I'm talking about. How long is the river? People will know what I'm talking about. Okay. Okay. So here you have the difference, right? Again, the same thing. Maximum extreme, okay, the superlative. Mount Everest, it is the highest mountain in the world. But if I want to compare Mount Everest to another mountain, I use the relative scale, which is the comparative. It is higher than Kilimanjaro. Okay? Okay. So, for example, if we talk about Pico Duarte is the highest mountain in the Caribbean, right? That is the maximum extreme. Pico Duarte is the highest mountain in the Caribbean. But if I want to compare Pico Duarte with Mount Everest, I can say the Mount Everest is higher than Pico Duarte. Or I could say Pico Duarte is smaller than Mount Everest. Okay? So the first one, extreme, the highest of the Caribbean. Right? The second one, it is a relative difference because I am comparing Mount Everest to Pico Duarte. Okay? I'm comparing. Is that clear? Yes. Esta clase es extremadamente fácil porque eso que vimos ahí ya lo habíamos visto. Lo único que hice fue agregarle el EST y the most para hablar de los superlativos, para hablar de el extremo, pero después es la misma regla de los comparativos que trabajamos al inicio de este mismo libro. Tell me, Angela.
No, que incluso lo hemos visto en los libros.
Así es. Muy bien, Angela. Entonces, homework. Your favorite part, homework. Okay, so here we have this homework. So pay attention. Complete questions 1 to 4 with comparatives and questions 5 to 8 with superlatives. Ok, entonces las preguntas del 1 al 4 vamos a responderlas de manera comparativa. Nos pusieron los adjetivos en paréntesis aquí. Y las preguntas del 5 al 8 las vamos a responder de manera superlativa. Easy peasy. Number 1. Number 2, here is circle the correct word. We have definitions here, and we have to choose the correct word that is being defined by this sentence. Number 2. Number 3, here we have to complete the names. For example, Lake Superior, Amazon, what? Canyon, desert, falls, mount. You have to complete all of this. These are common names of places. Here, you are going to practice the structures. Here you have adjectives like busy, cool, friendly, heavy, nice. And you have to write down the comparative form and write down the superlative. And here you have the rule. The rule that I explained before, here you have it again. Okay? So the more the merrier. Okay, here we have this listening quiz show. So here says, listen to 3 people on a TV quiz show. Check the correct answers. So you have to listen to the audio and identify what is the correct answer. Okay, the one that in the TV show, which is a TV quiz show, are being selected, are being chosen. Okay, here we have complete this conversation, use the superlative form of the words given. So here we have adjectives, exciting, interesting, beautiful, crowded. We have to use the superlative form of all of these adjectives. Okay, that means that all of these adjectives we are going to structure them using the most exciting, the most interesting, etc. Okay, what else? What else? Okay, oh, sorry. Here we have to build how questions. Okay, so for example, Niagara Falls is 52 meters high. Okay, so we're talking about height. What would be the question? How high is Niagara Falls? Easy peasy. And the same thing with the other ones. The same thing here. Okay, here says use the words in the box, write questions about the pictures, then circle the correct answers. So you see the picture and you identify which of these answers fits best with the picture, and then you build your question. Here you have input that you can use to form the question. Oh, that's it? That's too short. Okay. Okay, so here we have our reading for our next class. Okay, we're missing a lot of people tonight. So you are Angela, Nidia, and Saoni, the lucky ones. Okay, you are the lucky ones because we have one paragraph for each. Ustedes son las afortunadas porque
Yellow.
tenemos un párrafo para cada uno de ustedes.
Yellow.
Yellow.
Me.
Me.
Dígame, Nidia.
My.
Ok, teacher.
Okay,
¿Cuál
teacher.
párrafo?
¿Cuál párrafo?
¿Cuál de los
¿Cuál de
tres?
los tres?
Yes. So Saoni, Lake Vostok, Antarctica. Angela, Cape Grim, Australia. And Nidia, Singapore. Okay. So Saoni, Lake Vostok. Angela, Cape Grim, Australia. And Nidia, Singapore. Here you have the questions that you have to answer with that. This is an interesting article. For me, you will say, teacher, you say that of every article. Certainly, yes. I always say that they're interesting because they are. You learn a lot from these articles. Okay. And this is the last exercise. Here you have to choose, for example, the opposite, right? So the opposite of the biggest, letter F, is this the smallest. What is the opposite of bad? Ok, aquí tenemos que elegir el opuesto. Deben de tomar en cuenta que si la palabra está en superlativo, el opuesto debe ser superlativo, ¿verdad? Si la palabra está de forma normal, pues es el adjetivo base, el opuesto, y así sucesivamente. Y ya, eso es todo. Sencillísimo, chicos, regalado. Eso es uno de mis temas favoritos porque es un tema extremadamente fácil. Bien, do you have any questions, guys? Any doubts? I miss your partners that weren't here tonight, but it's okay. We will see each other again on Thursday. I hope they come. No questions, guys? Is everything clear then?
No question.
No
No
question.
questions, huh? Okay. So if you don't have any questions,
Teacher,
tell me,
Teacher,
Nidia.
please,
please
envíe
envíe
también, aparte de las tareas,
los
los ejemplos de las PPT, por favor.
Okay.
Que esos
que
ejemplos
esos
también nos
ejemplos
ayudan a
también
hacer
nos
los
ayudan a hacer
ejercicios.
los ejercicios.
Claro. Yes, they do. They do.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, guys. So with that being said, that will be all for tonight. It was a short class because it was a short topic. So see you again on Thursday at 8 p.m. Bye. Good night.
Good
Take care.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night. Good
Bye.
night,
Bye-bye.
teacher.